Let's talk tactics in Tarkov. Basically where this comes from is I found a lot of the things that I've learned in the military very beneficial to application in Tarkov. And I wanted to start out very basic and very easy so that way you guys and gals have a clear-cut understanding of what you're going to see. And because of that, you're going to see a lot of footage that is taken in an offline raid with my buddies. That way we can get that clear-cut picture across in preset scenarios. The three tactics we're going to be covering today is going to be formational movement, react to contact, and bounding. For those of you that are from the infantry background, you will know that these are the staples of an infantryman, and these things are not going to come as a surprise to many of you, but they're very applicable to Tarkov. And honestly, just like in the real world, any plan is good until the bullets start flying, so these things are very great when you get more practice under your belt, make them second nature. Formational movement. My buddies and I will take out teams that are literally moving in a file or basically in a straight line where they're right on top of each other and it's very easy to pick them off.
I see the players.
How many?
It's a 4 top.
Copy.
One
Yeah.
down.
2 down. This is where formational movements come into play, where you're able to move in different 2-man, 3-man, 4-man, 5-man. I don't really run, but I have some recommendations on what you could do. Now, of course, the file is great for getting from point A to point B as quick as possible, but it creates vulnerability. And what is the goal of formational movements in the first place? It sets you up for success in being able to react to contact, being able to get shots on target, and as well as get callouts and cover all angles of fields of fire as you are moving across your area. So this is exactly what it looks like when you are covering multiple fields of fire. And this is where a thing called SILS really comes in handy, which is an acronym that the military uses called Stop, Look, Listen, and Smell. Now, we obviously can't do smell in video games yet. It's kind of weird if we could, but the key is that when you are moving from point A to point B, you aren't rushing to failure. You want to stop, look, and listen. So I really highly recommend that you guys and gals are moving from one point of an area on the map to another. You are stopping in between those different areas and you're looking and you're listening to try and see if you hear anything, because we know in Tarkov, audio is king. Now, getting back to the actual formational movements, what do I recommend? For a 2-man, I recommend either going side by side or one in front of the other, and I'm talking about 10 meters apart. That way you have visual distance between each other and see what is happening. The key is that if you're front and back, you have a quick react to contact where the point man will take contact and the other person is able to assist in some way. We'll get to that later. In the side to side, it allows you to be online right away if someone takes contact from the front or back, or the other person can shift over to that point. Now, what I really recommend for a 3-man is a triangle formation. Now, whether that point be pointing forward or backward, that's up to you, meaning you have one person in the front or one person in the back. Now, for a 4-man, I actually recommend splitting your team up into 2 fire teams, and that is going to allow you to have the best opportunity for survival, especially when you have a bunch of people that are running in a 4-man. It can be very easy to hear every single person running in that team. So splitting that team up into 2s, I found works pretty well when you are trying to get shots on target, suppress the enemy, as well as flank. Now, of course, the downside of these formational movements is that you have to ebb and flow with the formation, and that it isn't going to be always a clear path of travel. That's why people like to move in a file, because it is a clear path of travel. You're following the person that's taking the best path to get there. You don't always get that luxury when you're moving in these formations. The terrain will change and you have to change with the terrain as well, and because of that, you have to move in closer to your teammates or away from your teammates depending on the terrain, and that is something that you have to keep in mind. Within these formations, it's really important that you are within 10 to 15 meters of each other, because if a grenade lands at your feet, it could blow every single person up. You want to make sure you have that distance. That way you also aren't getting picked off one by one with somebody that's watching you from a farther distance with a sniper of some variety. Now, what do these set you up for? They set you up for our next tactic, which is react to contact. Now, when you're taking contact, the first thing that you want to do is react to that contact by getting into hard cover, something that's going to stop bullet penetration. From there, you're going to want to call out the 3 Ds, which is distance, direction, description. Now, the reason the 3 Ds are important is because it gives your team a clear-cut message on what is going on, where the enemy is, and how far away they are. So it would look like 2 enemies on top of the tower about 50 meters.
Yo, shooter sniper tower.
Now, within the formation, say you take contact. You're going to shift towards that gunfire and set up what is called a react to contact drill. To put it simply, the person or persons that begin taking contact find hard cover and begin to put down suppressing fire or basically shooting in the area you are taking contact from. The person who is not on the side where the contact is happening has a couple of options. Number 1, you can become the flanking element. So as your teammate puts fire down on the enemy position, you will move and flank the enemy position, typically from its left or right side. The goal of this is that suppressing or support by fire element will have enough fire to keep the enemy occupied as the flanking element moves up and they eliminate that threat.
Suppressing.
Okay, I'm gonna push up and throw a grenade. All right, I'm set. I'm throwing it. It's in.
Moving.
Pushing in.
So pushing with grenades is a great way to get the enemy to move out of that position if you are that flanking element. And you essentially are creating this L shape where you're hitting the enemy from multiple angles. Contact right.
He's down.
Now the second one that you can do is get online with your teammate, or basically forming a line. That way you're able to put more fire down on the enemy to begin pushing the enemy from here. And that's where we lead into bounding. Now bounding is a way to move while you're under fire, and essentially what it's doing is you are leapfrogging with your teammate, giving each other cover as you both are moving, and that cover being suppressing fire at the enemy. As you're doing that leapfrogging, it's really important that you have great, clear communication. You let them know when you're moving, you let them know when you're set in your position, when you're reloading, when you're suppressing fire. All of those things are keys to success to let your teammates know what is going on at all times. That way, you can give each other the proper cover that is needed.
Reloading.
I'm set.
Moving. He's down. We're good.
Moving.
That ultimate goal of moving under fire and bounding is to keep consistent pressure on the enemy while you're moving closer to the target, or this can be used as a way to just move to an area that has more cover for you if you're more out in the open too. Now, a key takeaway is that bounding isn't just for attacking the enemy, it's also for realizing you're at a disadvantage and, oh, I need to retreat or fall back. You can bound back and break contact. Essentially, if you find yourself, let's say, at the bottom of a hill or and they're shooting down up above you, there's great ways to break contact doing this exact same thing, just moving backwards instead of towards the threat. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these are very basic things that the infantry are known to know. If these are things that you have questions about, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will be sure to get to them. Also, be sure to like and subscribe if you guys and gals like this type of content. I'm going to make this a series as we make our way through different tactics, and with my buddies, we talk about it. So if that's something you are interested in, then be sure to hit that subscribe to be here when that stuff drops. Take it easy, take care, stay safe out there, and we will see you maybe on Twitch Sunday through Thursday. Take care, everybody.
I got the streamers.